I was 23 when I left my home country and moved to the Middle East. My father was living there. I was a fresh graduate and my level of English was really low, like maybe an A1 level. You couldn't actually have a conversation with me. And there, everyone spoke English. To get a job, you have to speak good English. So even though I had finished economics, I couldn't get a job. As a favor to my father, someone gave me one anyway. I was basically an assistant to the business development manager at a landscaping company. They sold plants, landscaping designs, that kind of thing. How's my life? Well, my father used to drive me every morning to work and take me back 2 hours in the traffic in the morning, 2 hours back in the evening, 6 days a week, only Friday off. Work from around 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Then home, sleep and do it again. Sometimes we stopped at the mall on the way back. That was my fun. That was my whole life. For a 23-year-old, that was terrible. I wanted to have fun, to meet new people, to have friends, to explore. But I couldn't do that because I couldn't afford a car since I was earning very little money. And there, if you didn't have a car, you couldn't commute. My salary was very low because it was a job favor that I was given. It was terrible. At the office, it was also very difficult because my English was the bare minimum and it was hard to actually engage with people. Sometimes I had to answer the phone. My English was so low that I had a list written on the paper with the exact wording I had to say. I didn't know exactly when to say good afternoon and I was too embarrassed to ask. When someone called with a strong Indian accent or a strong British accent, I would be lost because they spoke so fast and their accent for me was very difficult to understand. One day someone called and they started spelling their name. I had no idea what letter they were saying because I didn't know the alphabet in English. Luckily, my manager was very understanding and I was telling him something like this. Someone called you, someone with a V something, and the manager would start guessing. It was hilarious. That's how bad it was. After a month there, I saw an opportunity. The company was giving cars to the salespeople, and there was a car that no one wanted to use because it was a manual gear. They didn't know how to drive it because in that country, everyone learns on automatic cars. Luckily, I knew how to drive a manual gear, so I knew I could drive it. It would be very happy if it would give it to me, but I had to be in the sales department. And how can I be in the sales department if I don't speak English? So now I needed to learn English urgently because if they would give me that car, that would mean freedom to me. So I said, okay, how I can learn English? I didn't want to spend my little salary on English courses and I didn't have the time to go for them anyway. So I was thinking, what could I do? Then I saw that in bookshops, they have all the books in English. I was like, wow, this is what I'll do. I'll start reading. Luckily, I understood English much better than I could speak it. In my home country, they didn't dub movies. They play them in the original language with subtitles. Since most of the movies were American, my ear was already trained to American English. So when I started reading the words out loud, I finally connected the spelling with the sounds I already recognized. So I started reading. I just read and read and read all my free time, reading out loud. My English started improving rapidly. I became an avid reader. I started to love reading. I started to, with romantic stories because I love love. But if you don't have love and read about love, it's not good. So I moved to self-help books because my biggest dream was to be a motivational speaker. Still is. And I read like crazy. Within 2 months, you could have a conversation with me. They were impressed with my progress and they accepted to send me to sales. They had nothing to lose anyway. Petrol was cheap, the salary was the same, parking was cheap, the car had insurance, and I wasn't very useful in the office anyway. I remember I would arrange meetings and then get completely lost on the way because we didn't have the technology we have now. I'd write directions on paper and leave 2 hours early because I knew I'd needed them. But I had a car and freedom and I was meeting people. I loved it. After some time, I had a sale also. My English was good. I proved myself, so I asked for a better salary because I deserved a normal salary. But they said, no, wait 1 year. When they said 1 year, I was like, this would never happen. I would never accept this. I didn't like that at all. So I left. And in 8 months' time, I was an account manager for a manufacturer of Windows phones. The moral of the story is upgrading yourself increases your possibilities and opportunities. This was 20 years ago, but you must know that I still read out loud to further improve my English. I read the New York Times and the BBC daily because they have great writing with words that I wouldn't be exposed to otherwise, and I still feel there's a lot to improve. I work with a lot of natives and I still ask them to help me with the pronunciation of certain words. I ask for their help because improvement is a never-ending journey. Think about this. Every year they release a new iPhone. Sometimes the difference between them is very small, but is an improvement. But you look at the difference from an iPhone 7 to an iPhone 17, there is a huge one. And it is because it improved every single year, little by little. If they had stopped at iPhone 7, it was valuable once, but the value kept decreasing. The same with this. If we fail to develop ourselves little by little, we don't notice how we improved every year, but we look back to 5 years ago and we say, wow, I've improved so much. But if you didn't improve at all, you would be exactly like an iPhone 7, a depreciating value. What I'm saying is developing yourself, no matter how small, changes your life. It doesn't matter in what you develop. Develop your interest, whatever it is. Is it cooking, art, technology? It doesn't matter. It is still development and it matters. The idea is not what it is, to do it every year slowly, because growth is never finished. There's always another level. So keep going, learn, develop, read, whatever it takes slowly every day, because small effort repeated becomes something big one day. I'm still developing my English after 20 years. What about you? What are you still developing at? Hi, I'm Ruxandra. See you tomorrow.